Namaskars and good evening. Welcome to the final talk of the 8-day online talk series organized by the Belgaum Ashrama. Many of you are aware that Swami Vivekananda visited Belgaum and stayed here for 12 days from the 16th of October 1892 to the 27th. This series of online talks on various aspects of Swami Vivekananda's life and message has been organized in remembrance of Swamiji's visit to Belgaum. We have already had 7 talks in Kannada, Hindi and English from the 16th to 22nd of this month before taking a break for Durga Puja and Vijayadashmi. Today, we welcome Revered Swami Sarvapriyanandaji Mhj of Vedanta Society of New York in USA to deliver the last talk of this series. Maharaj is very popular on the internet for his talks. Here are a few details about him for those of you who may not have heard him before. Swamiji joined the Ramakrishna Mhj and Mission in 1994 and received sannyasa in 2004 from the 13th head of the Ramakrishna order, Most Revered Srimad Swami Ranganathanandaji Mhj. He has served the Ramakrishna Mhj and Mission in various capacities, including being the Vice Principal of the Devghar Vidyapith Higher Secondary School, as the Principal of the Shikshana Mandira, a B.Ed college at Belur Mutt, and was also the first registrar of the Vivekananda University at Belur Mutt. Before going to the West, Maharaj served as an acharya, that is a teacher, of the Monastic Probationers Training Center at Belur Mutt for many years, teaching the brahmacharis, that is the monastic novices of the order. He began his stint in the West from December 2015. He continued as the Assistant Minister of the Vedanta Society of Southern California in Hollywood for a little more than a year. In January 2017, Maharaj was appointed as the head of the Vedanta Society of New York, which was established by Swami Vivekananda himself in 1894. Swami Sarvapriyanandaji Mhj continues to offer his services from this center. Maharaj is a very popular speaker, known for his talks on various topics related to Advaita Vedanta and the Ramakrishna Vivekananda literature. I request him now to address us. His topic for today is Spiritualizing Daily Life, Swami Vivekananda's Practical Vedanta.
Om Namah Shri Yatirajaya Vivekananda Sure Satchid Sukha Swarupaya Swamine Tapaharine. Namaste to everybody who's watching this. I would like to express my gratitude to Revered Swami Atma Prananandaji for kindly organizing this program and inviting me to speak on this occasion. Due to the pandemic, of course, most of our activities, which are in-person activities, are limited, but it has given us a scope to use this wonderful new technology to reach out all across the world. And so today I'm able to address through the Ramakrishna Mission Ashrama in Belgaum, all the devotees, not only in Belgaum, not only in India, but across the world. As you just heard, this place where I am right now, the Vedanta Society of New York, was the first Vedanta Society founded by Swami Vivekananda himself in 1894. He came to the United States for the World Parliament of Religions in Chicago in 1893. And after that, he was invited to New York by a group of American disciples and admirers to start this some kind of classes. And that's how this Vedanta Society of New York started. And we're very proud that it's the first Vedanta Society. But Even before this, years before coming to New York, to the United States, Swami Vivekananda had visited Belgaum during his travels across India. And in Belgaum, he was one of the first places where his uniqueness and his greatness was recognized. Um, Here at the Vedanta Society, every morning, we have a little bit of reading along with meditation and chanting. And so right now we are reading the reminiscences of Swami Vivekananda. And there at the beginning, the first thing that you find is reminiscences of Haripada Mitra and Sadashiv Bhate, where they record how when they were in Belgaum in 1892, Swami Vivekananda visited them and stayed with them. In fact, the ashramas, which you see right now, are the center and the sub-center, are the houses where Swami Vivekananda actually stayed with these gentlemen and their families. And they are wonderful reminiscences if you read them. In fact, the very program that we are participating in now is in commemoration of Swami Vivekananda's visit. So the subject today, the spiritualizing of life and Swami Vivekananda's practical Vedanta, is a subject very dear to my heart. It's worth thinking about really. What was Swami Vivekananda trying to do vis-a-vis classical Advaita Vedanta? Swami Vivekananda, he noticed that there is this great gap between spiritual life and secular life, the sacred and the secular. What we do is normally when we are religious or spiritual, we have a certain time and a place, morning and evening, and a shrine where we do puja or meditation, and that we regard as spiritual. And the rest of the day, in the family, in the office, in the community, we regard it as being secular, my day-to-day work. Now, this division is actually very damaging, both for our worldly life and for our spiritual life. When we divorce spirituality from our worldly life, what happens is worldly life becomes full of suffering. There is misery and struggle, unhappiness. Even in the advanced societies in the West, where materialistic wants have more or less been fulfilled, here you see how much is the suffering caused by loneliness, by meaninglessness. What is the purpose of life? What is the point of life? High rates of depression, suicide. I recently read that last year, I think, or year before last, in England, in the United Kingdom, they apparently appointed a minister of loneliness. So a government department to deal with the problem of loneliness. You see, when we fulfill our material wants, the other problem, the psychological problems come into play, existential angst, like a deep philosophical lack of meaning in life, purpose of life. So this comes from divorcing spirituality from day-to-day life. And spirituality also suffers. You see, what happens is that when we say that only my early morning meditation is spiritual, my puja room is spiritual, and the rest is not, the pressures of life, worldly life, are so much. Usually persons who have householders with families, with jobs to hold, careers, the time and energy needed for your job, for taking care of the family, it is so much that very little is left over for meditation or study or devotion. And often in times of pressure, suppose there is physical illness, the first thing that normally gets sacrificed is spiritual practice. So that does not seem to be essential. What seems to be essential is my day-to-day living, how to earn my livelihood and stay alive and take care of family and so on. So even spiritual life, when it is divorced from the mainstream of life, spirituality also suffers. That is also sacrificed. Vedanta, for example, when Vedanta was removed from practical day-to-day life, then the day-to-day religion, the religion of the householder, it became a mass of rituals, a matter of faith. I believe in something and I practice certain mass of different kinds of rituals. And how is it helping me? I don't know. I'm carrying on some old tradition. And divorced from the life of the community, Vedanta became restricted. And Swami Vivekananda says, in the hands of a few pandits, in the hands of monks living in forests or mountain caves. And when you remove it from day-to-day life, what happens to Vedanta is that Vedanta often becomes a theoretical matter. Highly trained scholars carrying on subtle philosophical discussions. But what is it related? How is it related to my life? That even in their own lives also, they don't see much application. So this is the disaster that happens when we divorce Vedanta from our day-to-day life. Swami Vivekananda said that this gap between our practical life and spiritual life, he called it a fictitious gap. And this must be erased, he said. This is not a real gap. This has somehow come about in our lives. It's very damaging and it must be erased. He points out Vedanta was first of all practical. So where was Vedanta taught? Not in an ashram or a Vedanta society. No, it was taught in the battlefield of Kurukshetra. Arjuna is a warrior and he has questions regarding his practical life, whether he should fight this battle or not. And Krishna, his teacher, who is a charioteer, both are in the midst of tremendous action. There, Krishna teaches him the highest Vedanta philosophy. See, for a practical question, the answer was the highest Vedanta philosophy. That was the interesting thing, you know. There was no difference between spiritual life and day-to-day practical concerns of day-to-day living. By the way, you may be interested in knowing, last year I had an interesting experience. I had got a fellowship to Harvard University and was there studying for 1 year. Bhagavad Gita is being studied with great interest there at the Harvard Divinity School. The full courses there, and students from all across the world, Americans also, but many people from across the world, different countries, how seriously they're studying it. And this thing about how the highest philosophy is taught in the midst of life itself. So what is the core of Vedanta? Swami Vivekananda, in his inimitable style, he said, Vedanta, there are two aspects. One is the divinity of the soul, our own inner divinity. And the second one is the oneness of existence, that all things are this one divine reality. The first one, that's where Vedanta starts with the question, who am I? Am I this body of flesh and blood? Am I this person, Sarvapriyananda, with a particular personal history, likes and dislikes? Is this who I am? And Vedanta says, if you investigate, you will find you are this immortal, unchangeable, perfect existence, consciousness, bliss, this witness consciousness within, Sakshi Chaitanya. This is what we are. And Vedanta gives us different methods of investigating, very subtle techniques of investigation. There is the way of Drigdrishya Viveka, where first of all, you see that everything that is an object, which can be put in the category of object, that is not me. Remember, the question is, who am I? So when you look at the world, it's an object. I can see it, hear it, smell it, taste it, touch it, all the objects in the world. It's an object to me. It's not me. And that's not our problem. We know that I'm not the laptop, I am not this table or chair. But then you apply the same criterion to the body. The body is also an object. We discover to our amazement when Vedanta points it out. Look, you can see the body. You can touch it, even you can taste it, smell it. You can hear the rumbling in your tummy when you're hungry. The body is an object revealed continuously to all our senses. Therefore, I, the experiencer, the subject, cannot be the subject. I am not the body. See, this is when we first begin to understand this, it's a great, great revelation. A few months ago, a doctor from Scotland, Indian doctor working in Scotland, he wrote an excited email. Swamiji, I was looking at a scan of his own body, he said, and I've been studying these medical scans for years and years, decades of my life. But just yesterday, I had this epiphany, realization, by looking at the scan of the body. Where in this body am I? This is like a biological machine. In this body, all these organs and systems, activity going on. In this one, which one is I? I am nowhere in this. I, this conscious being, where do I exist in all of this? It's a thing. It's a machine, a living machine. And then we take our attention from the body to the to the mind, which is thinking all these thoughts. And we discover to our greater amazement that the mind is also an object, that thoughts, feelings, emotions, memories, am I aware of them? When I think something, when I feel happy, am I aware that I am happy? Of course I am. If I am not aware, who else is aware? So all the movements, the vrittis in the mind are also objects. And I am the witness, the experiencer of these objects. Remember, again, in experience, in our actual day-to-day experience, right now we can see this. It's not something mystical or far off. So Vedanta says you cannot be the mind also. This is remarkable. You are the witness of the mind, you are the experiencer of the mind, and being the experiencer, you must be consciousness, you must be aware. So this awareness or consciousness in Sanskrit, the Chaitanya, we can only call it the Sakshi, the witness. Why? Because it witnesses not in the terms of an action, it just shines and reveals the activities of the mind, and through the mind reveals the body, and through the body mind reveals the entire universe. It is the witness of the entire universe, and that is what I am. Not this changeable body, subject to old age and disease and death and coronavirus and so on and so forth. Not this ever changeable mind. From morning till now, how many thoughts? Happy, sad, irritated, relaxed, agitated, interested, bored. All these thoughts are coming and going. Which one am I? None of them. I am the witness of all these thoughts. So this inner witness, this immortal consciousness, of course, there's a lot of discussion about this, which we discover. Vedanta gives us so many processes. Drigdrishya Viveka is one process. Another process is the well-known Panchakosha Viveka, the 5 levels of the human personality. You discover yourself as the witness consciousness, which experiences these 5 levels. Or the Avasthatraya, I am the witness consciousness, to me appears waking, dreaming, deep sleep. All of them, they point to one witness consciousness beyond body and mind. So this is what Swami Vivekananda meant as the divinity within us. This is the first and most important step, but only the first step. Not yet Advaita, because the entire world is out there. It's still Dvaita, difference is there. Next, Swami Vivekananda says, what is the relationship between this world and this consciousness? So, are they two different things, or is it the same thing? And Swami Vivekananda says there's this one unit existence of the entire universe. Ultimately, we realize that the world which we experience is not a separate reality, but it is something appearing within ourselves. We are not separate consciousnesses. There's only one consciousness, and there is not a separate world also. The world which appears to consciousness is actually an appearance in consciousness. Appearing to consciousness, first step. Second step, see that it appears in consciousness, in our own consciousness. And that third step is that it is nothing but our own consciousness with names and forms appearing in these ways. Name, form, action, nama, rupa, vyavahara appearing in this way. Now, I'm encapsulating a lot of classical Advaita Vedanta in a few sentences, but generally this is the outline of the system. So far, it's fine. Sister Nivedita writes in her introduction to the complete works that all of this existed before the coming of Swami Vivekananda. But what is the unique contribution of Swami Vivekananda? It was all there. Even if Sri Ramakrishna had not come, Swami Vivekananda had not come, all of this was there and being practiced by groups of monks, some scholars. Now, the problem with all of this is, this can be realized by the process of vichara, supported by nishkama karma, by meditation, devotion, and you, through the process of vichara, you realize this. It's a difficult process. It's a time-consuming process, which is why the entire institution of monasticism came to be associated with it. You give up everything else in life and take formal monks, become monks like us, and then you pursue this thing exclusively. This led to this, the divorce between Vedanta and practical life. It is something that belongs only to monks. Then what about us? Suppose the householders will say, well, what about us then? Is Vedanta not for us? Then what is our religion? It became a mass of rituals, as I said, just a matter of believing in something. So this divorce, this gap, it appeared. Vedanta seemed to be something different from practical life. How do we practice it in our lives? There are basically only two questions in spiritual life. One is that how do I realize God? Or how do I get self-knowledge? How do I get Brahma Jnana? That's question number one. But question number two is also there, that after that or during the process, how do I live my life? So my life is still continuing, whether you're a monk or householder, whatever you are. So how am I to live life and how am I to realize God? These are the two questions. If these are separated, then this problem arises, separation of sacred and secular, my work life and my spiritual life. Swami Vivekananda's unique genius was to synthesize the two, to combine the two into a powerful whole. Swami Vivekananda very powerfully, he says, he who runs away to meditate and die in a Himalayan cave, he has missed the way. He who plunges headlong into the vanities of life, he has missed the way. Now that's very interesting. If you run away from day-to-day life, become a monk or something, Swamiji says you've missed the way. And if you plunge into life as it is, marriage, children, career, money, power, chasing whatever life has to offer, Swamiji says even then you have missed the way. Then there seems to be only two options. Either you run away or you stay in this day-to-day practical life. What is the third option? Swami Vivekananda says that the real way is to divinize life itself, is to see God in everyone and everything associated with life. Not just in your time of prayer, but also in our day-to-day life. Not only with eyes closed, but also with eyes open. As Sri Ramakrishna used to say, that when I close my eyes, there is God, and when I open my eyes, there is no God. What kind of God will that be? So with eyes closed and eyes open, one must be able to see God. So this was the source of Swami Vivekananda's great insight, that the whole of life has to be divinized. And truly, this is fully supported by, fully based in Vedanta. Ishavasyam idam sarvam yat kincha jagatyam jagat. The first line of the Ishavasya Upanishad. It seems Mahatma Gandhi said if the whole of Hinduism were to disappear and only the first line of the Ishavasya Upanishad were to stay, then all of Hinduism would still be there. And that Upanishad says, in all this world, moving and non-moving, living, non-living, in the entire world, everything is to be covered by God. Ishavasyam. But covered means what? Not like a blanket. World is there and you put a blanket on top of it. No. Not by, some people make a mistake, especially in this country, that I am Brahman. So it's a positive affirmation. It's not an affirmation. It's a statement of fact. You have to see how I am Brahman. What is Brahman? What am I? And how I am Brahman. That has to be realized. So Shankaracharya comments on that Ishavasya Upanishad first line. He says, Vasyam, covered, actually means to uncover. God is already there. He gives the example of Chandana. So in a temple, the sandal paste is there. And if you keep it under water for some time, it seems a layer develops on the sandal paste, which is foul smelling. So we have to scrub. Nigarshana, Shankaracharya says, by scrubbing that layer off, the swarupa, the natural fragrance of sandal paste is manifested. So it's not like you put some sandal paste spray on top of that. No, you remove the layer which has come and it manifests its own fragrant nature. Similarly, covering the universe by the Lord means to uncover the Lord who is already there in the universe. And how do you do that? By discovering the Lord who is already there. So from covering to uncovering to discovering, that is the meaning of the first line of the Ishavasya Upanishad. What Swami Vivekananda says, deify life itself, to see God in everything. So it is firmly set in traditional Vedanta. Swami Vivekananda, what he is saying. And obviously, he gives the example of the Bhagavad Gita. So notice that this spiritual teaching for moksha, for ultimate liberation, was given to someone in the middle of intense action. And Arjuna was told the answers to both of the questions, that you have to realize God, that's the purpose of human life. And Arjuna agrees. In Bhagavad Gita, you see, Arjuna agrees. His whole point was, I don't want to fight this battle. But then Krishna comes and tells him, even if you want to realize God, even if you want to become enlightened, you must fight this battle. To fight this battle, how? Not in the way you were doing earlier. You came to it in a very righteous war, that these Kauravas are villainous and the kingdom really belongs to my elder brother Yudhishthira. Therefore, I must fight this battle. That was a worldly, dharmic way, but a worldly approach. Now you convert this duty in life, this worldly duty in life, into a spiritual practice. That was the whole teaching of Krishna. In the modern age, Swami Vivekananda, he gives us that same teaching in a modern form, restated and in an extended form. In Sri Krishna's time, the way he taught Karma Yoga was that your duties in life, Laukika and Vaidika, that whatever you do in secular life and whatever you do in religious life, all of them do it without desire and as the worship of the Lord. And that becomes Karma Yoga. And Swami Vivekananda took all of that and added all forms of social action, that to alleviate the poverty of the masses, to bring education to those who are illiterate, to bring medical help to those who are sick. All of those large-scale social actions, which do not fall within the duties of any one individual, but those also, they become powerful methods of spiritual realization. And here, especially in the West, people are very interested in social justice and social justice movements. And religion is also for improving the society. That's the general. Swami Vivekananda saw this more than 100 years ago. He said, in the West, you have to justify everything, including religion, by what can it do for society. How amazing, how perceptive Swamiji was. And I see it everywhere here. Without thinking, the whole idea is everything in life, politics, economy, and religion, all must be for improving our social life. And Swami Vivekananda said in India, everything is to be justified through religion, whether it is social improvement or politics or anything. To make a mark, you must show how it is spiritually helpful for me. So this new restatement that your social activism also, your doing good to society, that also can be spiritualized and should be spiritualized. This is part of Swami Vivekananda's new approach, the spiritualization of all of life, not just one corner of our lives. Swami Ashokanji has said that this is actually a new ritual. Instead of having a small set of rituals in your puja room, now all of the activities that we do in life. Swami Vivekananda also has said it, that you can eat to God, talk to God, you can every activity that you do in life can be done as a worship of the Lord. It is a ritual. It's a new kind of ritual. There's nothing wrong with rituals as such. Swami Ashokanji says it is concrete philosophy. Philosophy concretized becomes ritual. And so the highest Advaitic philosophy concretized becomes this ritual of worshipping God in all living beings. And of course, this is nothing more than what Swami Vivekananda learned from Sri Ramakrishna, Shiva Jnani Jiva Seva, to serve, to worship the Lord in all living beings. It is deep philosophy, actually, if you just reflect upon it. A truly, ultimate kind of spiritual philosophy must encompass whole of life itself. So it should not be like Sankhya, for example, which takes that the consciousness, the witness consciousness, that is the reality, Purusha, and the world is a separate reality from you. So Prakriti is separate, Purusha is separate. And this is also good as far as it goes, but it leaves the world aside. It leaves the world outside your conception of God. What Advaita does is that everything is divine. When you look at this entire universe, it's not that there is God and a universe. It is God appearing as the universe. Everything is comprehended within this extraordinary idea of the absolute Brahman. Brahman alone appearing as the universe. This basic idea is what Swami Vivekananda took. And he extended it to apply to our day-to-day life. If indeed it is one reality, and Advaita Vedanta says that there is no duality, no multiplicity here whatsoever, then if it is indeed one reality, then all our day-to-day actions, there must be Brahman right there itself. So this is the uniqueness of Advaita Vedanta, which Swami Vivekananda applies to his doctrine of spiritualizing all of life. See, in a dualistic idea of religion, God is not here. God is there in heaven, in Vaikuntha, in heaven, in Kailash or wherever, some other place. God is not now. God is then. So when you drive along outside in big cities in USA, you will see huge billboards put up by Christian missionaries. And heaven is a place. Call such number, they will tell you about what is heaven. That means it's a different place, not this place. It's something else. Another billboard says, after you die, you shall see God. Fine, nothing wrong with that. But I always noticed that after. After means time, not that before and after. That means before that, there is no God, you are not seeing God. After death, you will see God. So God is separated from us by time and space. Some other space, heaven, not here. Some other time, after death, after samadhi, after the second coming of the Christ, something later, not now. And God is dualistic, other than you. You are certainly not God. God is something else. So notice, immediately a Vedantic scholar would say, so your God is separated from you by desha, kala, vastu, by space, by time, and by object. Somewhere else, some other time, some other object is God. Whereas the Advaitic approach is just the opposite. God is everywhere. That means God must be here. The ultimate reality must be here. God is every time, in all times. That means it must be now. And God is none other than you. Tattvamasi. So not a different object. God is not separated from us by desha, kala, vastu. This is a very deep insight. And this thing itself, Swami Vivekananda used. What is the implication of this? The implication of this for our day-to-day life is everything is spiritual and has to be spiritualized. It's a question of emphasis. The same rope and snake example. You may say snake is false and rope is real. So as a snake, it is false. But as a rope, that very entity which you are looking at, that is real. You may emphasize the falsity of the snake or you may emphasize the reality of the rope. So in classical Advaita Vedanta, the approach was to emphasize the falsity of the snake. And Swami Vivekananda, let us say, to oversimplify maybe, but he is saying, you emphasize the reality of the rope, that it is Brahman only. Don't look beyond the name and form. Look beyond the apparent qualities into the qualityless, the reality which is underlying. So this was the basis. Even in classical Advaita Vedanta, I heard a sadhu actually I read this in Hindi, a sadhu in Uttarakhand in Himalayas. He is writing that, do you know why we emphasize mithyatva, the falsity of the world in Advaita Vedanta? Two reasons are there. One superficial reason and one deeper real reason. The surface reason, superficial reason is mithyatva leads to vairagya, dispassion. It is only when you see the things in the world as appearances, like a movie. So you are not scared of them, nor are you tempted. Neither terror nor temptation. In a movie, no matter how scary it is, you enjoy a horror movie, but you are not scared by it. No matter how tempting it is, delicious food seen in the movie, it will not tempt you really. You see it, but you're not tempted because you know it is not there. So mithyatva gives us vairagya. It gives us deep dispassion for this world appearance. The moment you know it's an appearance, it ceases to affect you. You can enjoy it like a movie, but it ceases to affect you. So that's a great thing. Yes, but that's not the ultimate reason for the teaching of mithyatva. The real reason, according to that sadhu, is that it points to the reality. It points to Brahman by saying that this world is mithya. What does it mean? What is mithya? The snake is false. It's a rope. Then where is the rope? Where you are seeing the false snake, there alone there is the rope. This world is false. It means Brahman is real. Where is this real Brahman? Where alone you are seeing the false world, there alone the real Brahman is. The real rope is mistaken as a snake. Where? There itself. And the real Brahman is mistaken as the appearance of the world. Where is this Brahman? There itself. Where you are seeing a human being, where you are seeing a dog or a cat, where you are seeing sky and earth, fire and water. It is Brahman and Brahman only. So this teaching of mithyatva, the deeper meaning of it is, it points out the reality of Brahman. It points out the presence of Brahman in every aspect of the world appearance. So Swami Vivekananda used that. You just see his Atmano Mokshartham Jagatitayacha. The motto he gave to the Ramakrishna order, it's a philosophy of life. For your own, how should we live? For your own liberation, for your moksha, and for the welfare of the world. Very beautiful philosophy of life, the highest philosophy of life for anybody, actually, not just monks of our order. For your own liberation and for the welfare of the world. Here, remember, Atmano Mokshartam, some half-baked scholars said, no, it is not correct because Atma is already free. So Swami Vivekananda, he has made a mistake. So Atma can refer to body also. If you just go to the Upanishad, Atma can refer to the mind also. And Atma refers ultimately to our real nature, which is Atman Satchidananda. So here Swami Vivekananda means the Jivatma. For the liberation of ourselves, we who find ourselves as this Jiva now, for our liberation and for the welfare of all. Now, the interesting thing here is the and. Sometimes we monks discuss, why this and? You could have just, Swamiji could have said, for your own liberation, moksha. The classical spiritual approach is that, moksharti. Or it could have just said, for the welfare of the world. That is how most social welfare people who work for social welfare, they say. One professor had told me many years ago, before I became a monk. He was my teacher. And I asked him, what do you think of Ramakrishna Mission? Already I was thinking of becoming a monk. So he said, oh, they do good work, but they have all this peculiar, monk, God realization, all those things. So he appreciates the work done by Ramakrishna Mission for society, but he's not interested in the spiritual side of it at all. He finds it peculiar. Why both? The answer, the real answer is that it's not both. It's not two. It is one and the same thing. This is what Advaita Vedanta is telling us. What you are trying to realize as Brahman and what you are trying to serve as society are one and the same thing. With eyes closed, eyes open, as Sri Ramakrishna said. Swami Ranganathanji put it very beautifully. He said, what is spirituality? With eyes closed, I find peace within. With eyes open, my attitude is, what can I do for you? So it's the same philosophy, with eyes closed and eyes open. And you find it all the way back to Bhagavad Gita, when Krishna says to Arjuna, Mam anusmara yudhyacha. Think of me, contemplate upon me, God, and fight the battle of life. So why the same and? Why both? So the ultimate answer to that, why both, is that both are the same reality. You can't divorce one from the other. Then in Bible, Jesus Christ, he was asked by the Jews, so what is the most important commandment? The Jews have many, many commandments in Judaism, 530 according to one rabbi who told me. So which is the most important one? Naturally, they want to know. And Jesus said to them, 1, love the Lord thy God with all thy heart and all thy might. So that's wonderful. And then he said, and, same and. So, and love thy neighbor. You see, again, tying this word and spirituality together. And then you come down to our age, Swami Vivekananda says, Atmano mokshartam jagatithaya cha. For your own spiritual liberation and, same and for the welfare of the world. It seems different to us from our perspective of ignorance. From the perspective of jnana, to Krishna and Jesus Christ and Swami Vivekananda, it is one reality actually. So that is the philosophical basis of, I think I've run out of time. So that is the philosophical basis of the spiritualization of whole of life.
You started.
I still have time? Okay. Yeah. A couple of points only I'll just make. What is the advantage of this? Often people come to us, we'll have these religious retreats, and question answer session will be at the end of the religious retreat, and always there will be this question that, oh Swamiji, we try to meditate, but it's very difficult to keep the mind, mantra, Ishta Devata. This philosophy of spiritualizing everything, it's a powerful practice which solves such problems. You see, why is it difficult to meditate? When you take your mind away, the whole process of meditation is withdrawing from the world and concentrating the whole mind on God. It's a very good philosophy. But for most ordinary people like us, what happens is, the moment we take the mind away from the world, or try to, either the mind is continuously distracted, keeps trying to go back to worldly thoughts, or it falls asleep. It is not used to being withdrawn from the world. The only time we usually withdraw from the world is when we fall asleep. So the mind either falls asleep or it rebels against that withdrawal and becomes restless. Whereas If you try to see everything as God and with eyes open, you worship God in your day-to-day activities. The school teacher goes to the classroom and teaches and worships God in all the children. The worker in the hospital, doctor or nurse, tries to see God in all patients and tries to treat them with that attitude. Then what happens is, this distraction will not be there. Anybody who has had the experience of handling a class of unruly children in a schoolroom, or if you have the experience of looking after a sick person, an ill person, you will know that there's no chance of being distracted. They will extract your attention. So in day-to-day activities, when your mind and sense organs are engaged with the world, the problem of I can't focus, my mind is wandering, that problem will not come. It's a very, very powerful kind of meditation. Work itself will become meditation. Swami Ashokanji says, where to see God? Foolish question. Where will you not see God? In Swami Vivekananda's approach, the traditional question is, who knows whether God exists or not? Where is God? Which one is God? Here, it's everything that you see, everything that you come in contact with, everybody you deal with is a manifestation of God. We may not realize it at first, but we can certainly practice. The practice would be to realize that I am the witness consciousness. Use all the techniques in classical Advaita Vedanta, Drigvishya Viveka, Avastatraya Vichara, Panchakosha Vichara, to at least get an intellectual conception, to get an understanding that I am not the body mind, I am the spirit, I am witness consciousness. And when you look at people, and look at objects in the world, say, here is God, here is God. God is manifesting in these ways. You have the full blessings of classical Advaita Vedanta going back to the Upanishads, who say you are absolutely right. That Sat, that pure being alone, through name and form, is appearing as a table and a chair, as a human being, and the world which surrounds us. So this philosophy is immensely practical. And it's something that can be practiced with eyes closed and eyes open. Classical Advaita in Vedanta insists that you must come with a purified mind. You must come with a concentrated mind. Chitta Shuddhi must first be accomplished. Chitta Ekagrata must first be accomplished. Then only Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana, the classical Jnana Yoga, will become effective. We can still continue that even without sufficient Chitta Shuddhi, but it will not give rise to enlightenment straight away. Whereas this kind of practice, dealing with the world as Brahman, trying to engage with the world as divinity, this automatically leads to Chitta Shuddhi, because it is Karma Yoga. Karma Yoga will give Chitta Shuddhi. Since you have one attitude to the world in the midst of all activities, you see Brahma Arpanam, Brahma Havi, etc., Brahma Karma Samadhi, in all activities you're seeing the same Brahman. It will lead to a mind focused on Brahman. So you get Chitta Shuddhi, Chitta Ekagrata by this practice. And this practice itself is the concrete, is a philosophy in action. Which philosophy? This Shravana Manana Nididhyasana. It's a kind of Nididhyasana. Shiva Jnana Jiva Seva is a kind of is actually a Vedantic Nididhyasana. So it's a very wholesome, complete, powerful, life-transforming spiritual philosophy which Swami Vivekananda has given us in his practical Vedanta. I think that will be enough to go on with. Thank you very much.
Fair enough, Maharaj. Just bear with me for 1 minute now. Like always, your talks are very lucid, and you make it easy for the listeners to understand fairly complicated topics. And also, thank you for providing some of the ways to make it all practical, to apply it in our lives. So on behalf of all the devotees who have been listening to you, and on behalf of the Ramakrishna Mission Ashrama Belgaum, I thank you for sparing time to deliver this talk, especially on this occasion. So we thank you once again, and on behalf of all the devotees who have tuned in. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. Thank you so much. Take care. Be safe.
Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat.